The American Ballet Theatre Studio Company is coming to UNLV's Artemis W. Ham Concert Hall. ABT Studio Company is a training program for young dancers to become professional ballet dancers. Their programs feature a dynamic blend of classical favorites as well as newly commissioned works. Their performance is March 11th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets start at just $20. Get tickets now at pac.unlv.edu by calling 702-895-2787 or at the UNLV Performing Arts Center box office. 1,000 National Park Service employees and 2,000 U.S. Forest Service employees have been fired because of the new federal budget cuts by the Trump administration. So what does this mean for your spring and summer vacations and the future of our public lands? Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm talking to Berta Gutierrez, the program director of the Conservation Lands Foundation, about what our national parks could look like in the coming months. It's Tuesday, March 4th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Berta, let's get right into it. We here in Clark County, we spend a lot of time at places like Lake Mead and Red Rock when the weather gets nice, right? So if these parks are understaffed because of these federal budget cuts, what kind of effect could that have on our trips?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna see. First of all, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
And thank you for putting a spotlight on this because public lands are really under attack right now from several different angles. One of them is the firings that are happening with federal employees that go, to Park Service, to Forest Service, and beyond. We also have the Bureau of Land Management that manages 63% of land in Nevada that have also gone through firings. And these are people that take care of the public lands that we love, the Avicuame National Monument, Red Rock Canyon, Sloan Canyon, Lake Mead National Recreation Area, and then places just outside, that are a little bit further away. Death Valley National Park, Zion. Yeah, and then, we think Zion, but when we go and the line is too long and we can't get in, where do we go? We go like the places just outside of Zion, which are public lands. They're managed by the Bureau of Land Management. So I think what we can expect is a completely different experience. We may not be able to have access to them, or we may have access and they may be dirty. Trash may be accumulating. The bathrooms may not be available because they're too stinky. Campgrounds may not be available. And
just
this
closed.
is just closed because they're not clean, because there's not enough staff to clean. We know of the federal employees that have gotten fired, but we also are hearing reports of contract workers being, not being able to continue on their
summer
positions.
Staff. Yeah,
right.
Zion rescinded 100 summer job offers, so that seasonal staff isn't coming in either.
Exactly, and those are the people that are there when we go the most, right? Like when the weather's nicer, where people take their vacations, when the kids are out of school during the summer. If anybody remembers government shutdowns in the past, which we've had a handful, that's something that, that's a good idea of what we can expect. So we need to make a little effort of visit different, like how we're going to visit. Also, this is also impacting people that do a little bit more of a different experience. I think people that go hunting, people that go backcountry, like hiking and backpacking, they may also not be able to get permits to go to certain places because
rock climbers. There's a lot of rock climbers here in Vegas. Yeah.
I think it's if you like to go outdoors, just think about your experience. And many times we take for granted, what that looks like and why it looks like that. But so much of that is tied to the people that take care of the places, both federal employees and then people in the communities, people that are in a friends group that do a lot of volunteer work for the places that may not have access to the federal funding that they had before, if they had any, right? Or those seasonal workers that are not going to be there this season.
So, yes, I feel like life here in Las Vegas is deeply connected to, I mean, we're surrounded by public lands. We're talking national parks, national recreation centers, national monuments, and just straight up Bureau land management lands. So, the first thing you said is that people might not have access to these lands. What does that mean?
That means if you don't have a way to like staff the fee booths, what's that gonna look like? So we may go and it may be chaos and the parking lots may be full.
Mm,
For example, like the Zion is always full, right? Like the
hmm
huge lines. And if they don't have enough staffers to like go around, they may have to like close the line sooner than they have to
hmm
assess their capacity to serve the people. Same at Red Rock. What happens if they don't have like staff to like do the maintenance that they need to do to serve the people that they need to serve, right? Like they need to like cut back on like how much people they can handle going in. I was mentioning like permits. If you want to do this amazing hike in the middle of like Utah or Arizona, and that depends on a lottery and it depends on like all of these like administrative steps, right? We may not have access to that because that may be like the lowest in the priority with the limited capacity that agencies and offices are going to have.
I just want to be clear that this, to say 1,000 National Park Service employees are fired, we're not just talking park rangers. There's a lot of different people included under that umbrella. So who all is being let go?
Yeah, and when we think of park rangers, we think of the person that is giving us the little tour guide, the little introduction to a park. But we're talking about people, about scientists, about volunteer coordinators, about people at fee booths, people that manage permits, people that manage like safety controls,
Yeah.
firefighters, emergency response people.
Yeah.
So we're talking about all kinds of levels that we don't think about, right? Until we need those services.
Yes. I mean, two really worrying reports that I saw. One was from an anonymous source who had been let go. And they said that they were a park ranger, but they were also the only EMT at their national park site. So, we think all well and good with budget cuts until someone has a heart attack. There are medical emergencies within national parks too. And then a really worrying one that is local is that one of the two scientists that monitors for toxic algae blooms at Lake Mead was let go. And
Right.
we've had, correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been dog deaths from people not knowing there was toxic algae blooms and pets like swimming in the water, right?
Yes. And it's those things that we don't think about, right? We think
Yeah.
about what we see, and there's so much work that happens behind the scenes. And I think it's very important to say, like, these agencies were already understaffed.
Mm.
There was not an abundance of people. They were not, people are already doing the job of 2, 3, 4 people in some cases, you know?
Yeah, because even before these cuts, I to throw another stat at you. So Zion has 90% more visitors now than it did 10 years ago. In part, I'm sure because the population increases out here, but they're managing with 11% less staff. That was before the cuts. So
Hmm.
there has been an argument that these parks were already understaffed. And not only
Hmm.
that, but they actually are a gross positive. They bring in more money than is spent on them, too.
Exactly. They're already underfunded, they're already understaffed, and they produce money for not only the federal budget, but they also produce money for the local economies. In Nevada, and this is the stats for 2023, but the outdoor recreation economy produced 8.1 billion dollars. This is
Oh,
just
wow.
Nevada. This is a very important industry in Nevada. We're mostly land.
Yeah.
So, like who benefits from all these protected areas that we can go and visit and have access to? The local communities. You know,
Yeah.
Laughlin exists because the river goes through, most of their stuff. Yes, there's a lot of casinos, but people go and recreate on the river. They go hiking at Avicueme National Monument, which is right next to
Yeah.
Laughlin. So these communities are going to see the impact too.
Las Vegas is. I mean, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know this, but Lake Mead is the ninth most visited recreation park in the entire National Park Service. And the economic impact of that for this area is $358 million a year. Hey, CityCast listeners! Your local PBS station, Vegas PBS, is inviting you to join its new club for outdoor enthusiasts, Outdoor Nevada IRL. In case you didn't know, that's short for in real life. At these meetups, you'll explore destinations featured in the hit TV series Outdoor Nevada. You'll enjoy picnics in Nevada's scenic parks, get exclusive access to expert guided tours, and meet new people who love the outdoors as much as you do. And you'll be supporting public television while having all this fun. That means keeping shows like Masterpiece, Nova, Antiques Roadshow, and all the fun PBS Kids programs around for years to come. If you'd like to learn more about how to join Outdoor Nevada IRL or watch clips and episodes from the show, visit vegaspbs.org/outdoornevada. That's vegaspbs.org/outdoornevada.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places, between payroll, your tax consultant, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So, we're talking about long-term economic impacts of these parks being understaffed, but let's talk about another possible long-term impact. It's something that's very much on our minds. A lot of people who've been let go are saying that there is going to be an increased risk of fire because we've lost so many Forest Service workers who do things like take down deadfall, and we've lost a lot of BLM staff as well. You just told me 800 people lost their jobs at the Bureau of Land Management, and that's 80% of our public lands here. So is there an increased risk of fire here in Nevada and in Las Vegas?
Absolutely. And I think you brought up a good point, which is trying to prevent fires, right? Like, what do we do to prevent fires? Which is a lot of things. We need to take care of different invasive species or remove, do cleanup of areas.
Yeah, deadfall removal. Yeah.
Right. So this is on top of are we going to have money for wildland firefighters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a thing. That's when the fire is burning. But do we have the staff that addresses the issues and the needs of the land to prevent that fire from start burning?
I mean, up until this point, we in Clark County have been at a pretty low risk for wildfires. Do you think that is changing?
I mean, that's hard to say because we need a bigger view. We don't know what to expect this summer. It's been so dry. We've had 1 day of rain, which just happened to be the day after I did a car wash. So you're welcome.
Betsy. You should get your car washed more often.
Yeah. So you're welcome for the rain.
Yep.
But, we haven't seen, it's been so dry. It's been so dry. And this is, we're talking about Nevada, but this is the whole region. California, Arizona, Utah. It's so dry that I think this is one of the questions that is we're going to have to see, but we're worried about it.
That's fair. Are there other long-term effects of these firings that, maybe we haven't even thought about yet?
Yes. We're worried that where this is going is to the privatization of our public lands. Because what's going to happen? It's going to weaken. It's going to there's no capacity to manage them. So they're going to get overrun. They're going to get, they're going to get damaged. There's also a tax on public lands in trying to remove existing protections of landscapes, opening them up for industry projects, oil, gas, mining. And so from areas that communities have worked to protect. And it's been 20 something days, over 20 something. The first day of the new Secretary of Interior, he ordered a review of national monuments. Every monument that has been designated through the Antiquities Act. That means 3 monuments in Nevada: Basin and Range, Gold Butte, and the newest one, Avicuame National Monument. And the communities have fought really hard and long to get these places protected because they're important. They're important for our way of life. They're important for outdoor recreation. They're important for the outdoor economy. They're important for just the preservation of cultural and biodiversity, which is, very up there with like the things that we take for granted, like the work behind the scenes at parks and forests and public lands. So we are seeing these different attacks. We're also seeing them at the state level. We have Governor Lombardo trying to get a resolution to just open up public lands, to move them to the state, to like sell them off for housing. There's already a process for that. Why are we pushing for more? Like, this ridiculous. Also, there's a reason why like we can't develop in Nevada. Have you been outside? Have you driven through these places? It doesn't really lend itself for that. Also, we're also seeing, we have Representative Amodei, Nevada's own, trying to prevent the use of the Antiquities Act in the future. The Antiquities Act gives the president the power to designate national monuments. This is a law that was established in 1906, first of all.
Yeah, I think that was designated by Teddy Roosevelt, who is basically the forefather of national parks. He believed in protecting these beautiful natural spaces. And you know what? He was a Republican. That did mean something different back then, but I feel like the Republicans still claim him. So why would we want to overturn this law? Actually, that's a great question. Why do we want to overturn this law, Berta?
And the Antiquities Act has been used by both Republicans and Democratic presidents. And it's also not a little magic wand. There's a process. As the communities in Nevada that have gone through that have fought for Basin and Range, for Gold Butte, for Avicuame, it took a lot. It took so many conversations. It took presentations. It took petitions. It took sending local people to DC. Like, it took, convincing or congressional delegation so that they could help us on that. Like, it's a long process. This is not on a whim kind of thing, which is what in his press release, Congressman Amodei made it seem like that.
If people wanted to call Representative Amodei, would you encourage that?
Yes. Do it. Do it. Let him know. I think we all need to do that, even if we're not in his district. If you're listening to this and you're in Utah and you love your public lands, call your representatives and tell them that this is not okay, that not only do we need to stop these attacks, we actually need to fund these public lands more. We need more staff. We don't need less staff. We need more staff to take care of them so that we can ensure that we have access to them forever, right? That my nieces and nephews can have access to them, that their kids, and then the kids, after that. We need to ensure that we're protecting these areas, not only for recreation, but for preservation of culture, preservation of access to a specific lifestyle. So many of our rural communities in Nevada are there because that's what they love. They love the solitude. They love that connection to nature. They love the landscape. We need to ensure that remains like that.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Fred Warner, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. Abercrombie has the new suits you need, plus all the collared shirts to go with them. The Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit is the only suit you'll ever need for any occasion. Available in slim, classic, and athletic. Pair with a collared classic. Go with a soft, easy-to-wear sweater polo or a comfortable long-sleeve shirt. With so many different fits and fabrics, you can make a look that's completely your own. Add the Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit and new collared shirts to every occasion this season. Shop online or in store.
the things that you've been telling me seem very worrying. Is there anyone out there in the activists, in the federal government that is saying this is going to be okay?
I mean, we're fighting for it. And I think like this is where we can lead into like, what can we do as individual, as communities for all public lands and beyond? And I think this is where like, call your representatives, tell them how much you love whatever area it is that you go recreate. You know, like if you love Lake Mead, call them and tell them how much you love them and that you're worried about the future management of it. Call your representatives, whoever it is. And if you don't like phone calls, this is me. If you don't like phone calls, call them after 5 p.m. And then you can just leave a voicemail, or you can go and send an email through their websites, right? But call your representatives. Also, we're going to have to be mindful on how we visit our public lands. In this like reality that we're facing. We need to make sure that we are having a little extra bag so that we can put the trash in there. That we, if we see trash on your trail, on your favorite trail, pick it up, even if it wasn't you, that did that. Pick it up. This is where you can connect with local groups to volunteer for cleanups, for trail maintenance, for, whatever's available. Even just learning more about the places we love, right? Like sometimes it's not a volunteer event, it's a conversation, it's a talk. There's so many local groups. So in Southern Nevada, we have Friends of Gold View, Friends of Nevada Wilderness, Friends of Aviquame, Friends of Red Rock Canyon. We have Get Outdoors Nevada.
NV, Mount Charleston.
All of them offer.
Henderson Bird Viewing Preserve and the Wash. Like I follow all those places. And you know what? I've actually seen a lot more scheduled cleanups. Like, do you think that national parks are going to be relying on volunteers a lot more moving forward?
Yes. So this is the time, like this is one way how we can show our love for public lands, getting involved at the local level with the groups, right? In Northern Nevada, we have Friends of Black Rock High Rock. We have Friends of Nevada Wilderness that also has a presence in the north. We have Friends of Basin and Range. So like, look at your favorite places. Is there an organization that serves this place? Most of these organizations are volunteer run. Get involved with them. And you can learn more. They usually have like expert conversations and expert talks where you can learn the things that are happening that you didn't even know about, right? It's like, what do you mean this is how you test the water at Lake Mead, right? What do you mean this little flower only exists in the east side of Las Vegas? Like, what do you mean? Like Mount Charleston has like this many species that are unique to it. Like this is where we can move our action into, right? Like getting involved in these local groups and absolutely calling our representatives.
Berta, thank you so much for your knowledge and for those wonderful calls to action as well.
Yes. And so I would be wrong if I don't mention it. We do have a petition at monumentsforall.org that if you don't want to call, if you're like, the phone line is not for me, go to monumentsforall.org and it would help you. You just put your zip code and you can send that email to your representatives to make sure that we are protecting our national monuments and the ability for communities to fight for future national monument designations.
Thank you so much, Berta.
Thank you all for having me.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed this show, why not send it to a friend? Word of mouth really helps us, and in this case, it might help our public lands too. You can also rate our show and leave us a review where you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter on our website. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.